Welcome back to Realistic Progression 1, and today we're going to improve this simpler version of our rocket a lot more. We're going to take this, instead of going with those two large side engines, both side tanks, both powered by LR89s, we're going to go with a single LR89 and no sustainer in the middle. And then we're going to actually modify the upper stage. I did get some comments saying how we could do that, and I thought we'd go through the options. So first of all, this nose cone is heavy, so we want to get rid of that, and we can replace the upper solid rocket stages, which give us around 1,000 delta V together. More like 1,100, and we can replace those with a liquid-fueled aerobee stage. So why don't we do that? Let's go and take a look at something that will do that. Let's don't save that. And we can go on to the prototype 5. Okay, so the prototype 5 has a solid upper stage. You'll see immediately, however, the upper stage has got 3,400 or thereabouts delta V, all vacuum, which gives us 10,300 meters per second in total for the entire rocket. Now I'm going to make some more changes. First of all, I am going to just take out these solid, basically separator engines. I don't like them. Mainly what I don't like them is that even when I position them quite nicely, they still cause a wobble. And I don't want the wobble effect, and I'd rather have some kind of control, but wobble, would be worse. I also wouldn't mind control completely rather than just staging. So if I take off this procedural nose cone, which is lighter, you'll see I've got the ion mass spectrometer in there, but I think we'll actually get rid of that for now. And I'm going to take off the Geiger-Müller tube, and then we'll just see the difference in mass between this. So this is 60 kilograms, and what's the lightest possible procedural avionics we can actually get in? So that doesn't look too different in size. Can we bring it down to 500? Yes, we can. And in fact, this tank is 625. So let's just go to 62. Whoops, I need to go up to one level. 625. Okay. And what if we bring that down in length? Yeah, we need to bring that down as small as it possibly can be. Maybe even if we bring the actual diameter in and hide it in the nose cone as before. Can we bring that in? Not very much more. Okay. In fact, you're not going to let me alter anything now. Why are you not letting me alter anything? There we go. 625. Let's bring the length down. Does that alter the cost? Well, a little bit. Okay. So let's just reroute the part. There we go. That's the root part. So let's take off the aerobee again now. We have some procedural avionics on the top. We can put this Geiger-Müller counter on the top as well. I wouldn't mind if it would snap to a particular location, but that'll do. And then this can go on top. That brings down our upper stage, but it actually maintains a little bit of control, which is nice. I want the control. Take off the rest of the rocket for the moment. And then we can sort of think about RCS tanks. Now, we haven't really used them so far, but there are RCS tanks. And I think that's the one we want. Yeah, it's the right size. We could make a procedural version. And what's the difference in... This is very, very light and very, very low cost. So why don't we just put that on? So 2,977, still okay for the upper stage. Fairly high thrust to weight ratio. And at this point, we can now get control of this thing. So we have control using avionics, we have control using RCS, but we have no RCS, i.e. no thrusters, and we need to actually get those going. So command and control, there are 3 sizes. We want the small size, this one. Still, yeah, it's actually in proportion to this upper stage. And we can put them all over the place. For example, one thing we can do with them is we can use them to settle the tanks, ullage. And we can then set this up here to be nitrogen. And this, of course, is our usual aniline furfuran. Furfural, yeah, that's fine. But because we can't actually use them to control things just at the moment, what we'd have to do is assemble a cluster of them. And I'm not quite sure about how well this is going to work, but in fact, what's the center of mass of this thing? I actually just want to position them nicely. Depends where the payload bays go up to, but center of mass, please. It's up there. So if I just put them around there, this will burn down over time and become lower. So let's just put them around here for now. And we can think about having multiple of them. This will only let me have positional control, not roll control, mind you. Because roll, obviously, we need rotation to go into this. Not even sure that we need anything other than roll control, to be honest, on this. We probably should. It just means we can't we can't get a full cluster. There is no technology for a full cluster yet. So let's just copy them. And then if we just dock them to the sides of each other, like this. Okay, and we can modify them a little bit more in a minute, but get them roughly correct. Okay, and then we can modify it, of course. So I can't really zoom any further in. So we'll have to just go by the move tool, take the snap mode off, and then we can modify this inward a little bit. We don't want it to actually interfere, but having it so it doesn't interfere with the main nozzle would be appropriate. And then the rotation, we'll just do this, go back to move, and move in. Okay, that looks nice. We're going to do the same thing with the other side. Once I can select it, rotate first, I think, and move. Sorry, not place. Move. Okay, now that's pretty much looking just about right. Needs a little bit more fine tuning, but it should be fine for the moment. And we've basically got clusters of RCS. However, it has brought our delta V performance down to 2.6, so we'll see how well that actually does in practice, but that's still more than double our original stage, so that is no problem for me. Now I'm going to bring back the rest of our rocket. Okay, and what I'll probably, no, it's fine as it is. What I was going to say, I was going to bring this up to 625 diameter. Its mass is negligible, so 600 and is it 625? Yes, 625. It really looks like it's wider there. Okay, 625. There we go. All right, so that entire upper stage is ready-ish. We just need to put our payload back, payload fairings, and then probably recheck where it positions to. No, it looks like it's still within the fairings themselves. That's fine. Let's save that off. And then I need to basically set everything up. So we just need to move all of our RCS controls into here. And we could probably just disable them. Well, no, we don't want to have them on from the start. We don't want it to try and use them to correct the lower stages. It won't provide enough at all. However, we've got plenty of nitrogen in that top stage. We're not going to update. You can actually go up to better technologies. So if you go up to your thrusters, you can go to engines and go to other ones. We're not going to worry about that just yet. We'll see how this flies this is. You'll see I've also updated the second stage here. This has got a cylindrical tank. Well, the tank's inside isn't cylindrical, but the geometry is, just so that everything stacks up quite nicely. Battery's still here. It isn't further up, so we haven't got a battery on the top stage. We could, and that will probably be better long term, but for now I'll leave it as it is, because once we detach this we can carry on, and there is like 160 electric charge in the top. However, in this stage there is like 18,000, so yeah, we may want to have a small battery at the top. And everything else, this thing is pretty much straightforward. I think we've already got everything. So staging, check. We want that somewhere else. Yeah, want the payload fairings. MechJeb will actually detach these after this engine fires all by itself, so we don't need to worry about it. Detachment, RCS turn on, and then engine turn on. So what should happen, if MechJeb is good enough at this, is it should realize that when all these turn on, it's able to ullage the tank to settle the fuel, and then it should then start up the ARB without problems. We'll see if that actually happens in practice. So we can save that, and let's take it out for a quick test drive. And one more change, actually. I just wanted to make a change up here. This is still far too much RCS. I don't want... We could probably get very close to polar orbit, but I actually want to be a little bit more comfortable than that. I want probably about a quarter of that amount of nitrogen. So I'm going to have to go for another tank 2, I think. You can fill a tank with different things, but I want it to be a little bit more realistic than that. So we are just going to go for tank 2, and we're going to set it to be plain white. In fact, no, let's just change it to the gold color, I think. Gold foil. And we're going to bring its size down to 625 like everything else. And 625, and then we're just going to dock this underneath. Okay, and let's see if we just bring its length down to, I don't know, 200? How much nitrogen will fit in there? It won't fit nitrogen. It won't take nitrogen. Why won't you take nitrogen? You can take nitrous oxide, so if we upgrade that, but it won't take nitrogen. That's a shame. But nitrous oxide we can spend as well, I guess. So we want to change these, don't we? So we're going to have to change all of them, unfortunately, but that will do the job, hopefully. Let me just get to the seam so I can click through. There we go. So engine, nitrous oxide is the most expensive option, but it should be presumably the highest technology, but we'll see about if that actually is correct. Engine, they're all nitrous oxide? Yep. And you have to change all of them, unfortunately, but that's... okay, because they're all cloned from the same part. It's absolutely fine. They're all nitrous. So if we set nitrous in here now, it'd be nice if that gives us some kind of indication of fuel time, but I guess we'll find that out, and we'll get rid of this. So that gives us an extra 100 delta V, which is nice. And if I bring that down again, how much do we actually get or lose? It's an extra 40 by doing that. So obviously there's some weight in the thrusters themselves by doing this. So let's bring it to there, and let's see how well that actually does in a simulation. I'll just double check the staging again, but I don't think anything has materially changed on that. And maybe I'll just change that top section to a dark color just to match the avionics. To make it look, yeah, there we go. To make it look like all part of one thing. Good. Let's fly. So I'm also going to try flying this thing at a shallower turn angle, turn shape, so it should be in the atmosphere for a little bit longer rather than lofting so high, because we got quite a lot of power with LR89. We'll see how well that actually goes. In fact, I'm going to leave that to 45. Okay. I'm also going to leave the flight path angle to 0 rather than lofting it upwards. And we'll see how well that does on both our Apo and Peri. Enable autopilot. We're going to enable RCS as well. MechJeb can't do anything with it until it enables with this stage, which is the one that is just before the final. So i.e. this is where it's able to pull away, settle the tanks, and fire the main stage. So let's zoom out for the sound. And that's okay. MechJeb should take over. Auto stage is on. And it will head for a polar orbit. Orbit altitude, I don't care. I'm flying this thing. There is no circularization and pausing going on. This thing is flying until it gets into orbit, or it just fails. So we'll see how well that actually does in practice. So I'm going to fast forward this stage, and we should be fine by doing this. We don't have the sustainer engine problem on the other rocket that we designed. This one should be plenty powerful not to have deviations around speed of sound. See, it wobbles slightly, I think, but it's fine, and it will continue going up. So here we come with 30 seconds remaining on this stage in full fast forward mode. We're going to get cosmic ray science all the way up, and we can transmit it for full science, more importantly. So that's 3 from that. We'll get more later. And off the AJ-10 stage goes there. I am going to add a vernier rocket to this once I get back to the VAB. There goes our payload fairings. And now the final stage is going to be coming up to ready. Now I'm watching this timer and our remaining time in the engines, because if those are both matched, and they are in all the remaining stages, we're fine on this turn shape. The only thing we have got to see look at as then is the APO, and that's going to come up to 200 and, I don't know, maybe 230 by the time it's finished, which is also fine. So this 0.45 is fine for this rocket at the moment. And let's just, whoops, yep, fast forward through that a little bit. But what happened was Megjib took over, separated with an ullage stage with these RCS thrusters, and then it's just using them just to keep everything on target wherever it wants to, and we don't have to worry about anything from this point onwards. The RCS will be used as other engines once this main stage burns out, so even if you're very slightly short, it should still be okay. However, we'll see how well it actually does in practice. So again, we can fast forward in this stage, it's not a problem. And we've got 30 seconds of fuel remaining. Our Perry is coming up, but let's see how well it does in practice. So we've got 3, 2, 1, and we're in orbit. Megjib will continue to take over. It will continue to try and raise the orbit with these RCS thrusters until they run out. And it probably won't take them all that long to run out. Yeah, there we go. We could even reduce this quite significantly further. We get more performance out of it and raise our APO even higher if we went further. But we're in space in any case, and we shouldn't decay without any problems. So now we have cosmic ray science, and it seems to be biome dependent, which means that's good for a polar orbit. So I'm happy with this. The craft as a total sort of, you know, whole, and I think I will then have to go through and spend, unfortunately, on the tooling of the upper stage, but let's go and see how much that's going to save us. So current construction is 250 days, that's a lot, and launch cost is 14 grand, pretty much thereabouts. So we're going to want to look at the tooling. So let's just see what we can actually do here. We can get the cost down significantly for the fairings and the tanks. So let's look at the tanks first. So let's go for this one. In fact, we can tool all from this stage. Is there anything I don't want to tool? 2 different tanks. Obviously, I've changed the tank in the AJ10 stage as well. So we're going to repay for that. However, the tooling cost is probably around 20 grand. Let's just tool all of it, shall we? And let's see how much it changes. So 250 days and 8,600. 107 days and 2,000. So we can fly this a lot. We're going to be flying it a lot. I'm going to have to get that money back off all of this tooling. So with that done, what I'm also going to do is I'll see if we can add a vernier in here and how much that changes my delta V. Remember, we only just got to orbit just by flying it quite efficiently. So having that available, it would be good. Where's the vernier? Vernier. We have a few different options for what it looks like. These are also vernier engines. These are all the same size. They're pretty much the same thing. Yeah, exactly the same thing. We've used this one on the bottom stage. So why don't we have a look? That does seem quite large, though. Yeah, I sort of prefer a smaller one, but okay. Does this materially affect things if I put you in there? 9495, yes it does. By how much? About 30 delta V. And I could probably... I'm not going to stretch that stage, maybe. Can we actually just bring down this battery a little bit further? We don't need that battery to be that large. Let's just bring it down to this. 9.5. Yeah, so that should be more than enough, I would have thought. And let's save that off. Good. I'm happy. All of that might have introduced slight tooling costs. Yeah, I changed the battery size, but it's a minor change in time and cost, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to even tool it. No, that's fine. Whoops, not a simulation. We actually want to fly this live now, so I'm going to go and build a couple, I think. So build and launch. Have we got all the staging correct? It's all the same. Yep. So launch 1, launch 2. Both of those should be okay. We can, of course, get our money back by actually taking polar orbit satellite contracts, at least for the first few, and we'll take that one. And that is on our active list, I would imagine, and it has a year, so we can fly 2 and hopefully not fail any. Then we got a solar powered satellite. Oh no, we don't have any solar panels yet, so we can't take that, but that would be nice if we could. For that point onwards, we're not to lunar flyby yet. That's probably going to be an episode or maybe even 2 away, but not too far. In any case, we have ready to go for our live flight. And just to bring you back in, we're about to hit the live flight for stage separation. We're going to get that cosmic ray science transmitted while that's happening. So here it comes with 10 seconds remaining, flying high over Earth water, that is. So we'll get that science. And in we come for the separation. Now we do have the vernier on this, so let's hope that this works, because I didn't do it in a simulation. And there we go. So we've got the main engines on. The separator should stop firing. And have you actually fired? I hope so. Yeah, it does say shut down engines. It doesn't. It says thrust 0. Maybe I've not configured that correctly. That might actually be for the wrong fuel kind. So just dragging in an empty engine. I would like some kind of roll control for this top stage, but I guess I'm going to have to get rid of that. Yeah, well, never mind. So that's fine. We are heading up, same as before. However, we do have some science to do, so I need to wait until we're up in orbit, really. And here we are in space. I've already transmitted some stuff, shores and forest, but you'll see this electric charge is dropping because we're on this now, the avionics procedural, and we don't have like a better avionics package yet to sip at the power, so it's now out of power entirely. So we can't run anymore. This is essentially redundant and dead. However, did we get the mission for polar orbit? We just need to check for stable orbit for a minute, so let's fast forward. And there's our polar orbit contract, done. And pretty much now, we don't leave this junk in orbit, or we can't actually destroy it because it doesn't have a destroy option or we're out of power. So this is staying up here for a while. Okay, we need to get rid of that junk at some point, but not just today. And we're fine. We can just head back to the VAB and I can remove that stupid engine I attached. So I've taken the battery, the vernier off. Yes, it does need kerosene and oxygen. We don't have any vernier options for UDMH, so we can't really deal with that at the moment, so that's fine. I thought I would then just add a battery up here, because we do actually need one. Or at least to leave that, the resulting satellite up there long enough for us to do a few orbits would be nice, but it depends. I don't want to go any lower than 9,500 on that top stage, so I've got to be very, very careful about what I add up there. But if we just put one here, and let's just bring it up to 625. It'd be nice if you could actually key these values in, rather than just having to just drag stuff. But let's see how much this takes. So that's 8,749 new. That needs to be a lot smaller. So 8,900, 9,300, 9,500, that's more like it. And can we optimize it a little bit by reducing the size of this one? We probably could. Yeah, so that's fine for the moment. Can we bring this down anymore? No, that's its minimum size. So can we bring this one down a little bit for future craft? Yes, we can. Okay, that's 9,551. That's a little bit more comfortable. I'll just increase that a little bit. No, I actually want to reduce that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that should be enough, and we should have a nice, more capable launcher. I still don't even need this amount of RCS, so I can reduce that again to, again, half, and we're up to 9,573. Good. I will save that, and we might well launch another one of those as well. And then I will cancel and scrap the other one that's on the docket to be built next. And while we set up those rockets, we're going to be getting to a next set of science very, very shortly now. This one down here, satellite era science. So we're going to have all of these experiments to try and attach to the top of a rocket to get more science from them. That's only 16 grand to buy, and we've got enough to actually spend that, so that's fine. However, we do have 17 science, so we can continue to invest. Now, we can go for solid rocket boosters. This brings us the baby sergeants and various different solid rocket boosters. We could go for those, but I'm probably going to want to go for rockets. Just saying. if we can get the rockets ahead of everything else, we got the Aerobee Junior. Haven't tried that one before. RD-105. Do we have any rocket upgrades? That is a booster engine. That's the LR-79 booster engine. Is there any? What have we got for upgrades? We've got AJ-10, AJ-1042. Now the AJ-10 stays. It stays sort of very, very similar until we get to later when you get the AJ-10 mid. The AJ-10 mid brings you on to, let's see if it's in the orbital rocketry stage. It brings you on to be able to relight your engines, and that's such a big upgrade. You don't have to then, you don't have to go take your AJ-10 stage all the way to the end of its fuel. You don't have to go all the way into orbit. You can wait for circularization and use it at a more efficient point in the orbit. So it's much greater when you get to it. However, where actually is it? Is it in orbital rocketry? That's all no cost. Okay, 1961. Yeah, there it is. AJ-10 mid in 1961. Okay, so that's quite far away in terms of this node tree at the moment. However, you also see in here we've got our first heat shields available for 19 science as well. And yes, remember when I said you couldn't get RCS quads? Well, if we spent in this one, we could get them. And that would obviously make the part count lower and probably would make them lighter and easier to actually fit as well. But we don't have them. So, well, we definitely just want more rockets. Always. And I'll then alternate that with science. Now, the science is 27. We can't get that because we can't get over 25 science until we upgrade this building. So the next stage after we get this one is to get more and more science to then look at avionics, I think, because we'll get engines, fair enough, but the avionics will become lighter. When they go lighter, we can then get more delta V out of the rocket and get much more performance out of it because of that. That's probes, it looks like that one. Yeah, and we need to go through electronics research, which gets us the solar panel, which will get us the solar powered satellite. And then we don't need to worry about batteries quite as much. We still need some batteries. And early avionics and probes, this is where things start to get a lot nicer. We've got the Explorer 1 probe, 2 different variants of it. And there are some other ones as well. Sputnik 2 and 3, which most people don't know all that much about. Pioneer you may have heard of, but the procedural avionics are the ones I'm actually looking for. Particularly this one, the upper stage avionics. Smaller, more compact, lighter, etc. I'm sure. So we'll see how we get to that one, and a booster control upgrade for that one as well. Good. So we've got a lot to actually get through and unpack, but next thing up is the science. So I will probably do that next episode now. We've been rambling on long enough, and we've redesigned that rocket to be much, much better. And we've got it here. We've got that redesigned with a top battery at 122 days, because I haven't tooled the top battery or anything. And the technology is now satellite era science 162 days away. We don't have any more missions right now other than Sun Synchronous. Sun Synchronous, don't just take this. It will fail. The problem, or how hard it is because its eccentricity needs to be nearly circular, or between 0.02 and 0.04. So you need very fine control of the eccentricity. Now you will get that with RCS, but you need to have your orbit be almost circular anyway. Now, right now, that upper stage is just taking us into a very, very eccentric orbit, not a very circular orbit. So you need a much more controllable upper stage with a peri above 300,000. So until you get a little bit later, a little more control, maybe multiple relights potentially, this is hard to actually hit. At least the eccentricity is hard to hit, because if you go past it even slightly, the eccentricity goes right out. So I may well try it. I'll try it in simulations and see if I can get there with the current stages, but we're not going to do that on camera just yet. And solar power satellite, it just needs that innovation, those solar panels, and we're able to go from there. So next episode, we'll cover that new science and see how far we get. And thanks a lot for watching, as always. Feel free to give it a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. And of course, you can subscribe, share, click on the bell if you want notifications. As you know, I always say, more importantly, put comments down below for other people who are playing through, particularly if you're following along. Maybe you can improve on the rocket you've seen today. We'll see you next time, and thanks a lot for watching Realistic Progression 1.